If you talk all the time, you'll never hear what anybody else has to say. And therefore, all you'll have to talk about is your own conversation. The same is true for people who think all the time. That means, when I use the word think, talking to yourself, subvocal conversation, the constant chit-chat of symbols and images and talk and words inside your skull. Now, if you do that all the time, you'll find that you've nothing to think about except thinking. And just as you have to stop talking to hear what others have to say, you have to stop thinking to find out what life is about. And the moment you stop thinking, you become into immediate contact with the unspeakable world. The force of liberation will blow the world to pieces. So space, night, death, darkness, not being there is an essential component of being there. You don't have the one without the other. That's the way being is made up. music, what you really hear when you hear melody is the interval between one tone and another. The steps, as it were, on the scale. It's the interval. So in the same way, in the intervals between this year's leaves, last year's leaves, this generation of people and that generation, the interval is in some ways just as important, some ways more important than what it's between. Space, night, death, darkness, not being there, is an essential component of being. You don't have the one without the other, just as your buzzsaw has no teeth without having that. That's the way being is made up.
to turn it on. Hey folks, Raw Space here. Wanted to give you guys an update on what we are seeing, what's going on. So currently we are, so what happened was they fueled up the SN6 prototype, and there was venting. There was actually heavy venting from both the bottom of the rocket, or the rocket prototype, as well as the top. There was lots of venting coming off of the tank farm, and then they detanked the vehicle, and there's currently no venting coming from anywhere. So this has happened with all of the hops, the SN5 as well as previous hops, and so they still have time left in their window today in order to, during which they can complete the hop, but their exact timeline is a big question mark. We don't know when they're going to get it done. So the siren had actually sounded, which indicates that they were within 10 minutes of conducting the hop, but then people observed that the rocket was, or that the vehicle was detanking again, and there was an abort. Now, that's not to say it is aborted for the day. They still have time again in their launch window today, but time is really on their side, because it's not like they are having to launch into a specific orbit, that requires a narrow window of time. They basically have all day to get this done, and so whatever was the cause of the previous abort that resulted in the detanking, they don't publish that. They don't publish their launch schedule. All we know is that there are road closures, there are temporary flight restrictions, or TFRs, that govern the air traffic that is allowed to fly overhead the launch site. And in order to conduct a launch, they have to, or even a static fire, there have to be certain flight restrictions put in place. So we're sort of in a wait-and-see scenario right now. So an explanation of what we're seeing. So the large video view, first of all, thanks very much to Lab Padre for this live coverage. Lab Padre is a very cool channel that provides 24/7 live coverage of the Boca Chica SpaceX facility, both the launch site and there's like two zones. There's the launch site, and then like a mile or so away, there's some assembly buildings and stuff. I forget they have nicknames for everything over there. I forget the nicknames, but here, I will link Lab Padre in the chat. Lab Padre. Anyway, so they have generously provided us with this coverage, and you should definitely go subscribe to them if you're not already. So the main view there is what they call the lab cam. That's the main camera. It is located, you know what? It's 1.1. It's either 1.1 miles or 1.1 kilometers. There's a significant difference there. And I'm sorry, I don't remember which unit is correct, but it's located a little ways off from the launch pad, but not terribly far. And so he has this streaming camera set up with the zoom. They can, with a pan tilt zoom capability, they can control it, remotely. And then the inset of the inset, the little multicolored view there, is their Predator cam. That's what they call it. That is an infrared camera that they acquired just recently due to the generous donations of their supporters. And so there we see the reds, and then the whites are the hot surfaces, and the blues and the darks are the cold surfaces. And so looking at that, we can try to determine what's going on with the tanks, what's going on with the with the SN6 itself. So if you're not already familiar, as some of you may not be, here's a little overview of what we're seeing here. So you've got the black and white tanks to the left of the large, of the SN6 prototype. So first of all, the large stainless steel tower is the vehicle. That is Starship SN6. It is, I don't remember, it's like 120 feet high, something like that. It's quite tall, and much bigger than Starhopper, which was only, 65 feet tall, which itself is nothing to sneeze at. The Starhopper is off to the left there. You see it. It's the short, stubby hopper that took off last year. And they turned it into a, they turned it into basically a mount for a radar dish. There's like a maritime spinning radar mounted on top of it, which you can see there. And I'm not sure exactly what that's used for. Maybe warning ships or something, because they have a frequent problem with boats entering the exclusion area and causing launches to get delayed or scrubbed, or static fires for that matter. So the short silver thing is Starhopper that took off last year. The tall silver thing is Starship SN6, looking pretty much just like SN5, which hopped successfully a month or so ago. And you've got the various tanks. I don't remember what each color and orientation contains, but you've got your methane, your liquid methane fuel for the rocket. You've got your liquid oxygen, and you also have liquid nitrogen, which is used for things like tank fill pressure tests and things like that. Because it's an inert gas, it's not going to blow up, and if it gets vented all over the place, well, our atmosphere is, 70% nitrogen anyway, so it's not a problem. If you see, let's see. Let me see what happens if nope, can't do that. All right. So if you see white venting happening, either from the tank farm or from the vehicle itself, out the bottom or from the top, if you see white smoke or white clouds coming off of it, that is, if they're doing a pressure test, if they're doing a tank fill test, that's going to be liquid nitrogen. What happens is, with all of their cryogenic liquids, the methane, the oxygen, and the nitrogen, whenever, what am I trying to say? Oh, whenever they start loading that cryogenic liquid into the vehicle, it immediately starts to warm up and begins evaporating. So the fuel is constantly evaporating. And so it has to be vented. And that includes the methane, which is the combustible main fuel of the Raptor engine. So when you see the white smoke, it's not smoke. It's actually essentially clouds. What happens is, whether it's liquid nitrogen or liquid oxygen that is being vented, what happens is the super cold vapor, either the oxygen gas or the nitrogen gas, gets vented into the atmosphere, and the gas itself is transparent. You can't see it, but what it does is, it's so cold that it causes the water vapor in the air, the humidity that's just in the atmosphere naturally. And bear in mind that this test site is located right next to the Gulf of Mexico. They're literally a few hundred feet from the ocean, so there is some humidity there. Anyway, what happens is, this very cold gas vents out into the atmosphere, and it causes the moisture in the surrounding air to condense into clouds. And that's what the white stuff you're seeing is. It's not actually the nitrogen or the oxygen that's being vented. It is the water vapor that has condensed into clouds because the nitrogen and oxygen are so cold. Now, the methane, the problem with methane is, so nitrogen and oxygen, there's lots of that in our atmosphere anyway, but the methane is a combustion concern. You don't want, like clouds of methane gas to accumulate in any area, because it can, one spark and boom, the whole site goes up. So what they do is they actually burn off the excess methane. So you'll see, not always during daytime launches, but you'll see this vent stack that has a flame coming off of it. And what that is excess methane that is being burned off as it heats up and needs to be released into the atmosphere in a safe manner so that it doesn't just sort of settle and create an explosion hazard. The camera shaking, people are mentioning that. So the Earth, they're not experiencing an earthquake in Boca Chica. The rocket is not shaking. That thing it weighs, many tons, and it is the height of a 12, 16-story building. It's very tall and very heavy, especially when it's fueled. It is not moving at all. But the reason why it's jiggling is because the camera is in fact located a fair distance away, and it's zoomed in, and Texas has a lot of what's the current temperature? Lunch. Weather, Brownsville. So Boca Chica is a tiny little village, and Wolfram, that we use for a lot of commands on our channel, doesn't know where Boca Chica is, but it does know where Brownsville is. 36 Celsius, so it is pretty hot. Wolfram, convert 36C to F, because here in America we use F units. 96.8, very close to 98.6. So 37 degrees is normal body temperature, so it's really hot. Anyway, there's a lot of heat distortions from in the air, and Lab Padre uses image stabilization software to try to compensate for that. Unfortunately, one of the effects that we see is that the way that the software ends up manifesting its effects on the video is that the subject jiggles around back and forth. So really the problem is that they are in Texas, where there's a lot of heat distortion in the air. Variations of humidity and temperature and heat waves all compound to make it difficult to get a nice clean view of the site, unless you're very close, which people are not allowed to be. So, and that's why the clearest videos that you see of the launch are going to come from SpaceX's own cameras that are like on their drone, their quadcopter drone, or statically mounted on the landing pad, for instance. So, okay, so yes, people are saying it was aborted due to high winds. The thing with these launches, there is no official word. Unless Elon tweets something, and usually it's Elon, not SpaceX. They used to stream their, like Starhopper, they streamed that. Way back when they did Grasshopper, I don't know if they streamed that or not, but that was a long time ago. But Starhopper they streamed, but the SN5 hop they did not. They only published a video after the fact, and so we had to use this Lab Padre live view. rather than the SpaceX drone cam. And similarly, we're not expecting any stream from SpaceX or any broadcast from SpaceX. So we won't have an official view, and they also haven't been posting tweet updates until they have something to report, basically. Let me see. Checking the chat. Ethan Smith is saying launch is postponed until September 1st at 9:29 a.m. Not sure if he's referring to the hop or where that information is coming from. Looking at my calendar real quick, we've got the hop, which may or may not happen today. We're keeping our eye on the. It looks kind of dead at the moment, but we'll see. I may end up ending this stream if it doesn't look like there's any activity, and then I can just fire it up again if need be. But and then it's starting at about 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. GMT. We have coverage of the Falcon 9 SAOCOM 1B launch, and that's in a little more than an hour and a half from now. At 11:05 p.m. Eastern, 12/1/2/3, that's 3:05 a.m. GMT, is an Electron launch from Rocket Lab down in New Zealand. And let me confirm that that is still on. Yes, 5 hours and 39 minutes. Tomorrow, we've got a Vega launch from an Arianespace Vega launch from the Guiana Space Center in Kourou, French Guiana, with the SSMS proof of concept. Is that what that stands for? The Small Spacecraft Mission Service Proof of Concept mission with 50 microsatellites. So it's been delayed many times. This Vega was supposed to launch back in the springtime, but the Guiana Space Center was shut down for COVID, and they tried to launch it again in June, and they experienced weather issues, and so finally it's scheduled again. They did manage to get off a let's see, an Ariane 5 launch on August 15th, which was the first launch by the ESA in French Guiana since, February-ish, March. But yes, Vega's coming on Monday at 9:51 p.m. Eastern, 1:51 a.m. GMT. And then the Starlink 11 mission was supposed to launch this morning, but it was delayed due to some inclement weather they were experiencing during the preparations. So they postponed it to Tuesday, September 1st, at 9:29 a.m. Eastern, 1:29 p.m. GMT. Then, and I don't actually have this on my calendar yet, then on Wednesday, at Wednesday the 2nd, at 2:40 p.m. Eastern, 6:40 p.m. GMT, is an Artemis booster test. I don't know for sure if I'm going to live stream that, but because it is scheduled and there will be live coverage of it, I probably will. Then that is all I have on the schedule for this week. Let me just check here. And Astra Space was supposed to launch their Astra Rocket 3.1 this evening, but it was delayed until the 10th of September. So this was going to be a super busy day, but it's only now a busy day. mainly because this hop is sort of dominating the day because nobody knows when it's actually going to hop. All right, let me jump back to the chat, see if there are any questions. All right. Maria Kutujan says that, and this was not too long ago, 3 minutes ago, says that if the wind were so strong, it would have already knocked the SN6 down. No, I don't think so. SN6 is a heavy beast. It's the height of like a 12-story building. So it's not going anywhere. It's quite solid, and it's not shaking or moving at all. Maybe just slight vibrations. But the winds are at approximately 15, 16 miles per hour, which is a little bit stiff, but and I'm not sure, nobody knows for sure what SpaceX's tolerance guidelines are for wind. Unfortunately, I mean, they don't fuss about people setting up cameras to monitor the launch site, but they don't provide us with any sort of detailed information, which they have no particular reason to, aside from the fact that we want it, and but they don't want to expend time and energy, like basically paying someone to distribute information to the public because they're fans or whatever. Giovanni Foulmouth, Astra's been delayed a few times. Let me see. Astra. Okay, so the Astra launch, they tried to launch in March with the 3.0 rocket, but they scrubbed at that time. Excuse me. They scrubbed at that time. And then they subsequently lost the 3.0 rocket during a test. Oh, they lost the rocket during a test in late March, I think it was. And so they had to proceed with the 3.1 rocket. It scrubbed on August 2nd. It scrubbed on August 4th, 6th, and 7th, all due to, August 2nd because of a boat that got in the way. And they ran out of time in their launch window. And then they scrubbed on August 4th, 6th, and 7th due to weather. And then it was delayed from today. So yeah, it's been delayed a few times. They had been in the sole remaining contestant in the DARPA Launch Challenge, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency Challenge. But after the scrub earlier this year of the 3.0 rocket, the eligibility window for that contest expired. And the contest ended with no winners. But c'est la vie, as they say. So we still have some people asking, when is the hop? Has it aborted? When will it happen? So they loaded they loaded the vehicle up with fuel. They sounded the alarm indicating that they were within 10 minutes of hopping. And then they started detanking. They started detanking they did detank the vehicle. And so currently we're seeing no venting, meaning that the vehicle's been completely detanked. And, it would need to cycle again, retank the vehicle, or reload the vehicle with fuel. And we would start to see venting again if they were going to proceed with a hop. Now, what we don't know is whether they will do so today or not. We simply do not know. So they might retank the vehicle and try again today, or whatever caused them to abort earlier may, it may take them extra time to look into that, and they may not try again until tomorrow. So once I'm done jabbering, if there's no indication that any sort of retanking procedure is underway, I will probably go ahead and shut down this stream, and then if they fill it back up and it looks like they're going to give it another go, then I'll just fire up a new stream. So nobody knows when the hop is going to happen. SpaceX does not announce it. All we can do is look at what's going on. Oh, okay, I do see some venting from the tank farm there a little bit. Anyway, all we can do is look at what's happening on the launch pad and, provide our own non-expert analysis as far as, the folks at Lab Padre, again, thanks to them for this footage. They watch this launch site with eagle eyes every day, so they know. Okay, the pad clear check mark just went away, so looks like some vehicles may have gone back to the pad, which suggests that there will be a further delay in the hop. There may still be one today, but we do not know when. Andy De La Rue, SpaceX doesn't provide like a countdown clock or anything like that, but what they do is there's a siren that sounds 10 minutes before the hop, and once that siren is reported, once we get word from on site that siren has sounded, we can expect that the hop will be in about 10 minutes. And so our, any sort of countdown is kind of based on previous observations of the sequence that SpaceX follows in tanking and conducting the hops, as well as simply counting 10 minutes from the sounding of that siren. Pizza Dev wants to see a rocket blow up because he's never seen anything like that before. Unfortunately, blow-ups tend to delay the development of things, and so we don't usually wish for them. But Lab Padre has captured some great tank explosions from previous cryogenic pressure tests, as well as, what was it, SN4 that exploded big time. I don't remember which prototype number it was, but head over to Lab Padre's channel and check that out. I might, I think I even have a slow motion I did of one of the explosions. Well, it wasn't a combustive explosion, it was a pressure explosion. But Carefree Observatory, if you haven't noticed that the tank has crinkled on the evac cycle. Yes, good point. So if you look at the vehicle, you'll see that the sides look sort of crinkled. What happens is, as they fill up the tanks with their liquid propellant, their methane and oxygen, or in the case of a pressure test, their nitrogen, those wrinkles get smoothed out. So it's actually pushing out from inside the tank with enough pressure that it smooths out those wrinkles in the stainless steel skin of the tank. And that's one indication that tanking has taken place. Aside, that and the fact that once it begins tanking, we see various venting happening from different places. But yes, it's perfectly normal. I don't know if that sort of crinkling of the surface will be a thing in the final product, the final Starship. who knows? But at least with these prototypes, yes, the skin of the thing is crinkled, indicating that there is not yet fuel pressure inside. Asar Stromblad asks if we had a siren. So earlier, a couple hours ago, whenever it was, how long have I been streaming? An hour and a half ago, I guess, we had a lot of venting, and there was a siren indicating that they were close to launching. They were within 10 minutes of launching. But then they started detanking the vehicle, and it did not launch. So yes, we did have a siren, but then they aborted for some reason, and now it looks like they may be done. I noticed that Lab Padre took the checklist off the left side. I think they only let me go back and see. Oh, road closed. Well, the road is still closed, but maybe they've guessed that that there has been a scrub for the day. I don't know, but that would only be a guess. Nobody knows except for SpaceX what they're going to do. So Giovanni Foulmouth, no grain silo can withstand these pressures. Good thing that this is not a grain silo. This is a rocket booster prototype with, very carefully crafted stainless steel plates around the outside. Gareth Gray mentions the mass simulator. So the box you see at the top of the craft, that's actually a mass simulator, because as you see, SN6, the prototype, does not have a nose cone. It doesn't have a payload, no payload fairing. And so to simulate that mass that is missing, they put this, basically a block of metal at the top of the thing to for balancing reasons. Latonia, you haven't missed anything. They were very close to launching, but they had an abort, and doesn't look like much is happening at the moment. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to go ahead and wind down this stream, and to the 1,097 people currently watching, thank you so much for coming. Oh, 1,112. But the vehicle is not currently loaded with fuel. They detanked it, and all is quiet currently. If they refill it with fuel and get it, and when we see more venting and we hear the siren indicating that they're about to launch, I will go ahead and fire the stream back up. It may be in the middle of another stream, for example, SpaceWeek, or which I haven't even had the chance to properly prepare for because of the hop stream that's been going on, or the SpaceX it's a busy day for SpaceX. There's also a Falcon 9 launch at 7:18 p.m. Eastern, 11:18 GMT, which I will be streaming. So that's in a little over an hour. And then there's an Electron launch a couple hours after that, or 4 hours after that. So busy day. Not even sure when I'm going to squeeze SpaceWeek in, but I will try. So I'm going to sign off for now. I'll go ahead and end this stream. Thank you all for coming. Do make sure to go over to Lab Padre. That's LABPADRE, if I spelled that right. Links in the chat. Go to Lab Padre and subscribe to them. They have generously provided us with these views today, as they do every day. They stream multiple camera views of the SpaceX facilities in Boca Chica 24/7. And during these sort of hop events and static fire events and throughout the day, every day they have insightful commentary by a panel of internet experts and occasionally a real expert who really know what they're talking about. They watch this stuff all the time, and so they know what's the patterns that SpaceX has followed in the past, and they're able to predict quite well what's actually going on, even though they don't have an official red phone to the war room of the SpaceX Launch Center. We do have a couple more questions. Asar Stromblad, okay, so there were going to be 2 Falcon 9 launches today. There was supposed to be a Falcon 9 launch this morning of Starlink, just no rideshare this time, just a bunch of Starlink satellites. That's been delayed to Tuesday. And the second launch today is, the second Falcon 9 launch today it is still scheduled, and that is the SAOCOM 1B satellite for Argentina. And that broadcast starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Oh, okay. Mechanic and Skills said there will be no hop. The roads are opened up. Maybe that's why they took the checklist off, because the very top item in the checklist is roads closed. And if they open the roads back up, then that means they can't hop, because there will be traffic on the roads. Video Console asks, with SN5 they already flew 150 meters. Why don't they fly with SN6 higher and longer? There may be some FAA considerations there. I don't know what kind of administrative bureaucratic rigmarole there might be involved with flying higher than 150 meters. I think they need additional TFRs or something specific for flights that go higher than that, but or additional authorizations or something, I'm not sure. But the SpaceX development process, what do they call it, rapid iteration, is taking small steps forward at a rapid pace. And so they have made some changes in SN6. I do not know what they are. Visibly, I think there have been a few small changes that the Lab Padre folks would be much better prepared to enumerate than I am, because I don't have the time availability to monitor this stuff all the time. So this is an incremental step forward from SN5, and so in order to gather the data they need, because the test isn't for show, the test is for validating the system, and the validations that they need to accomplish don't require a hop of more than 150 meters. Matthew Hill asks, do I think there will be civilian space travel in the future? Yeah. I mean, we've had a minimal amount of, we've had some civilian space travel ever since, what was it, 2000-ish, 2001, when that guy took a ride on a Soyuz up to, I think it wasn't it to the Mir space station? Yeah, he took a ride up to the Mir space station before Mir was deorbited, and we've had a variety of rich people take Soyuz flights up to the ISS briefly, but as far as mass civilian space travel, it's coming. It's just slow. You've got Virgin Galactic with their suborbital flights, Spaceship Two, that they are continuing to work on. There have been some flights, not a lot, of that craft they released a video of the interior of their new whether spaceship, whatever, the new iteration of Spaceship 2, and it looks quite striking. It's really a beautiful design inside for multiple people to experience zero G for a few minutes, I guess, as they arc up into the up into space. So they do go to space. They don't achieve orbit, because orbit requires great speed, 17,500 miles per hour approximately. But you don't need nearly that kind of speed just to go up beyond the Kármán line into the vacuum. And so that's what they do. They go up and they arc and they come back down. Similarly, you've got Blue Origin with their new Shepard rocket that gets all the funny comments when I post videos of it. But that one just goes straight up and comes straight back down and lands itself. No humans have ridden on that yet, but I think they plan on moving forward with human flights on that craft in, well, everything is delayed because of COVID, but next year sometime I think it would be reasonable to expect some human flights from them. Additionally, even Crew Dragon is is civilian flight capable, but it may be because SpaceX's priority with Crew Dragon is service to the ISS, but the module is designed for accommodating up to 7 people, and I think that SpaceX plans to eventually do civilian space flights. But as far as sort of day-to-day commuting, things like that, that's still a long ways off. The problem is that it's, even with SpaceX and reusability bringing the cost of spaceflight down significantly, it's still quite expensive and only accessible to, whereas previously it was only accessible to the super rich, now it's only going to be accessible to the wealthy. Irfan Hussein, good to see you again. Welcome back. Genghis Khan, welcome back. Yeah, it looks like a complete detank. Scanning chat. So, Dilip and Jocelyn Bernardi and others are asking about when the hop is going to happen. So just as a reiteration, nobody knows. They have detanked the vehicle and it's currently quiet. I believe the road is back open, which means that it's quite possible that they have scrubbed for the day. With that said, they could close the road again, and because they have, so what is it, Cameron County in Texas, where this is located, on the Cameron County, I think it's the Sheriff's Department page or something, there's a web page which lists road closures. And so they basically have from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. local time, that's Central Time, Central Daylight Time, where they are allowed to close the road. That isn't to say the road is closed the whole time, but they can close the road during that time, anytime during that window. And so they had it closed earlier. Apparently the road is opened back up. So in order to launch, they would first need to close the road again, clear the pad of all other vehicles and people, and then retank the vehicle. You would see venting from the tank farm, you would see venting from the vehicle, and then eventually you would hear the siren indicating the 10-minute mark, and it would hopefully not be aborted again. U202U, yes, they did fuel it earlier, a couple hours ago, and there was some heavy venting from the vehicle and from the tank farm. They sounded the siren indicating they were within 10 minutes of launching, and they got close. They got very close, but then they must have aborted and they detanked the rocket. So yes, they fueled it and then they defueled it. Snow Kittens mentioning that there is still only a 40% go for the SOWCOM launch in an hour and a quarter or so. So I guess we shall see. Let me check their Twitter real quick, see if they've sent any updates. Nope, not Elon. SpaceX. All right, SpaceX's last tweet regarding SOWCOM was 10 hours ago, so there's no updates from them yet. So 40% go could still mean they take off, but Mr. Swamps 5000 asks if it is still going to hop. Not anytime soon. It's possible that they could cycle, and they still have another 3 hours left in their road closure window today. So, that may be enough time to reclose the road, re-clear the pad, and retank the rocket. Retank the vehicle, the prototype. But there's a lot of steps that have to happen before they would be ready to hop again today. So they may hop again today, but don't hold your breath. It's all a guessing game because they don't give anybody updates. It would be nice, like, if there was an informant that would drop tweets to say, yeah, we're doing this or whatever, but there's no such thing. And I don't think it's a matter of corporate security or whatever. I think it's just their people are focused on doing their jobs, and they don't. Their priority during the testing process is not feeding information to the public. It's conducting their test, unfortunately for us. Andy Hearn, thank you for the kind words. It's much appreciated. Felix David asks, how long does it take to refuel? From the time that fueling starts, maybe a half hour, something like that. Usually from the time fueling starts, it's usually within an hour that that a hop either happens or doesn't happen. They can't leave. They don't leave the vehicle fueled for extended periods of time. They fuel it up, and then if they're not going to hop, then they defuel it. So, Stephen Dornica, the hop did not happen earlier. It was aborted, and there may still be time for them to clear the road and cycle the rocket and get it hopped this evening. But even if they were to clear the road right now, it would still be at least an hour before they were able to hop, because they have all these other steps they need to do. They need to clear the pad. They need to check, do their checks, and then fuel the rocket, because they can't fuel the thing with people still in the area. So first you have to clear the pad. You have to get all the vehicles to the safe area, like a couple miles away, and then you can begin fueling the rocket. You can't have people near the rocket if it is fueled. Everyday Astronaut going live in 50 minutes. That would be 6:47 p.m. Eastern Time, 9:47 p.m. GMT. Yeah, I saw that he had a stream scheduled for earlier. I saw earlier that he had a stream scheduled for like 6:30, something like that. I don't know if he has some sort of insider information. The man does have connections, so he does get exclusive interviews with the likes of Elon Musk and Jim Bridenstine and Peter Beck and et cetera, et cetera. But so it's possible that he has some information about the hop time that the general public does not have. Or it could be guesswork, like the rest of us, albeit educated guesswork. On other feed, it says it's scheduled for the 31st, which is tomorrow, between 1300 and 0100. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, 3. That sounds like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that must be UTC, GMT time. So I don't know. I mean, without official word, it's all hearsay. It's all guesswork. But I mean, unless we see the telltale activity, such as the clearing of the road, the clearing of the pad, and the venting and the retanking, obviously can't hop until those things happen. Brian Rodriguez, yes. So 6 p.m. Eastern is 5 p.m. Central. They're an hour behind me in Boca Chica. I'm in North Carolina. So yes, they have 3 hours left today in their road closure window. Let me go ahead now. I'll just... Okay. So, Tata Cumpled says, what about SAOCOM 1B? All indications are that the SAOCOM 1B launch is still a go. There's a 40%, well, there's a 40% chance of go. 40%, I guess you could say a 60% chance of no-go because of the weather. But they haven't scrubbed it yet. It's still on until they say otherwise. I mean, it could be a 1% chance of go, and they could still go. So currently, SAOCOM 1B is still on, and that stream will be beginning in about 1 hour. Irfan Hussein, yes, I live in North Carolina, in the Charlotte area. Anurag Ganesh asks, why are they not mounting the top section? You probably mean the nose cone or the payload fairing, because they don't need to. The Falcon 9/Falcon Heavy payload fairing, the two halves of the clamshell that open up and protect the payload, are like $6 million. So they don't need to bother with that. And so instead of a nose cone and a nose cone/payload fairing, they just have their mass simulator block at the top. That rectangular box at the top of the prototype is a mass simulator that weighs, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of pounds, but it's heavy, and it simulates the mass of the nose cone for balancing purposes, so that the rocket, so that the gimbling of the engines and the firing of the RCS thrusters and everything is accurate to what the rocket will actually be, weighing when it's fully put together. Okay, Irfan Hussein asks, is the cylinder in the middle Starship? Yes. The tall tower in the center is Starship SN6. Looks almost identical to SN5, which hopped a few weeks ago. But yeah, that's SN6. I don't have the exact height of it, but I think it's at least 120 feet high. That's like the height of a 12-story building. Hoppy, like the Starhopper, is the short sort of water tower on the left, the silver water tower on the left with the little spinny radar dish on top. And that is, I believe, 65 feet. So if you want to use that as a measuring stick, then SN6 looks to be about maybe 130 feet high, something like that. It's quite large, though. Prasanna Bandara asks, "What does vacuum engine do?" So you'll hear things like Merlin 1D engine versus Merlin vacuum engine, or Raptor vacuum engine. So the vacuum variant of an engine. I'm sorry, the vacuum variant of an engine. The main difference, as I understand it, and I am not a rocket engineer. I am not an engineer of any kind. I'm a information technologist. I'm a software developer. So I don't have the same kind of depth of knowledge of rocket nuts and bolts that somebody like Scott Manley's going to have. But well, I guess he's not professionally a rocket engineer either. But in any case, he's very knowledgeable. But the main difference, as I understand it, between the vacuum optimized engines and the regular ones, the atmospheric engines that are used at launch, is the shape and the length of the bell, the nozzle of the engine. Because in space, you don't have atmospheric pressure, which pushing in from all sides as the exhaust exits the engine. And so in space, in order to maximize your thrust, you have to shape the rocket nozzle, the engine nozzle, differently. It's wider, it's longer, and it guides the exhaust of the engine in such a way that it's optimized for vacuum. Tyler Rack asks, after the 150-meter hop test, SN7 test tank will be tested, but which prototype will be tested after SN7? Oh, so he's saying that the SN7 tank will be tested presumably to failure, like another cryogenic pressure test. But which prototype will be tested or hopped after SN7? SN8? Etc., etc. So I'm not sure what their prototype iteration schedule looks like. There are forums where this sort of thing is discussed, and unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to trawl, not to troll, but to trawl, like fishing, those forums for those fine details. So I'm not sure which prototype is going to be used for what, but they probably know more about that over in the Lab Padre channel, because they have a lot of people monitoring the serial numbers and the whatever, all the noise regarding SpaceX development. They have people monitoring that stuff. Irfan Hussein asks, "How are my kids?" They are fine. Although my elder child and I stayed up all night. I was a dummy, and I stayed up all night playing Civilization 6. Hey, I like Civilization. So I woke up at a reasonable time, but she pretty much slept the whole day away, unfortunately. So such is life. Anurag Ganesh says that he would like to have some idea about the main booster. So what we're seeing here is a prototype of Starship. I mean, it's a prototype. Yes, it is a prototype of Starship, which is not the first stage of the vehicle. So if you recall, Starship is only going to be the top portion. The actual first stage is going to be Super Heavy, which we haven't seen anything of yet. So Starship is going to be, in the end, it's going to be approximately 165 feet tall. It's going to have 6 Raptor engines, and it is where the people and payload are going to be located. Whereas the first stage is Super Heavy, which is going to be even taller. I don't know how tall. And it's going to have up to 31 Raptor engines. An odd number, but I guess there's one in the middle. That's why there's 31. And it's going to have, oh, for Pete's sake, sorry, it's the school. They give us these automated calls every Sunday evening, and I can't reach the phone, so it'll just have to ring out. Oh, there it goes. Anyway, so the Super Heavy is actually going to have an estimated thrust of 16 million pounds of force. That is compared with the Saturn V rocket, which only had 7.891 million pounds of force, something like that. So Super Heavy is going to be an absolute monster. And what we are seeing here, the Starship with its canards, the little mini wings on the side, which it may or may not have, as well as the nose cone payload fairing, is going to be sitting on top of Super Heavy. It's going to be a very, very tall craft. Andrew Pugh asks, do my kids follow my interest in space and rocketry? They don't have a particular interest in space, more so than the average person. They do get a kick out of the fact that I have a YouTube channel, though, and they poke fun at me for it, which is fine. Irfan, you're correct. I do not get enough sleep. Tomas, there could be a hop today, but it's not looking terribly hopeful at this point. My guess would be that they're going to try again tomorrow. Theoretically, they have enough time left to reclose the road and everything, but it's probably not going to happen today. Rye Guy says Elon Musk should be a great scientist in Civilization 6. So in my latest Civ 6 game, I actually have I lost the game. Even though I was dominant in the world, I still lost the game because somebody else achieved the science victory first. But anyway, I'm sorry, that was distracting. So even after I lost the game, you know the old adage of just one more turn. Well, so I kept playing it because I wanted to conquer everybody. And anyway, so I have this Carl Sagan, great scientist, that I can't use because the space mission is moot. I can't complete the space mission because somebody else already won the game. And so I've got a Carl Sagan that's just hanging out in one of my cities that I'll never be able to use, which is fine. It's nice to have Carl around again. If only we could in real life. U202U asks, is the second stage a Merlin, or is Merlin several Raptors? No, there's no correlation between the Merlin engine and the Raptor engine. Merlin is for the Falcon rockets, Raptor is for the Starship, and that's it. They're two totally different engine designs. They use different fuel, and Raptor, of course, is a what do they call a full flow staged combustion engine, whatever. There are videos explaining what the heck that means. But there's no connection between the two engines. Starship and Super Heavy will only have Raptors, and the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy will only have Merlins. MOS3, yes, this prototype, the SN6 prototype, which they are wanting to hop here, and maybe delayed until tomorrow, presumably. The SN5 prototype, which did hop a few weeks ago, and the Star Hopper, which hopped last year, all have and had one single Raptor engine. The Raptor engine's a very powerful little engine. Well, it's not that little, but it's very powerful. And with just one engine, it can lift this whole, 160-foot beast off the ground, which is really amazing. I mean, it is a powerful engine. And so Starship will eventually have 6 of them. And again, the Super Heavy will have up to 31. Nicolas Desviat asks, does someone know why wasn't the SpaceX's Argentina satellite mission shown? So that broadcast will be starting in about 45 minutes. Let me refresh SpaceX's Twitter. They have not tweeted an update regarding SAOCOM 1B. Therefore, that mission is still, so far as I'm aware, a go. JJ Kremen asks, why is the side of it dented? That's because the stainless steel, and again, I don't know if this will hold true for the final product, but at least in these prototypes, the stainless steel skin of the prototype craft has a wrinkled appearance when it is not full of fuel. When they fill it with fuel, what happens is the pressure from the fuel inside pushes that skin out, and those wrinkles will become smoothed out. So that's one way you can tell whether the rocket is fully fueled or not, as to whether it still has wrinkles. Ken Dring asks, we've had 2 aborts, right? I was only aware of the 1 abort. I don't think they retanked it after the last the siren sounded and the last abort. So I'm only aware of 1. I could have missed one earlier, but I've been kind of pulled in a few different directions, so I apologize. William S. says it's really shaken. Yeah, the vibration you're seeing, it is not the vehicle. The vehicle is rock steady. It weighs many tons, and it is firmly planted on the test stand. The vibration you're seeing is due to the atmospheric distortion of heat waves and humidity variations and temperature variations in the atmosphere between the camera and the launch site, or the launch pad, as well as the image stabilization software that Lab Padre uses. It causes it to jiggle. So hazards of watching things from far away in Texas next to the Gulf Coast. Warhawk Me, thank you very much for that donation, and U202U, thank you very much for that donation. I greatly appreciate it. The membership button. So I have news. I have big channel news, and I haven't released the official video announcing this yet, but it's a-coming as soon as I get around to it. For 2.5 years, the channel, well, for about 3 years, actually, the channel's been growing. But for the last 2.5 years, I've been eligible for every YouTube channel feature except for memberships, where you go to a channel and it says join, and you click on it, and you can subscribe, like not subscribe, but you can become a member and contribute to the channel with some sort of monthly, donation. I've been eligible for every single YouTube feature except for that one. And, YouTube doesn't provide any information as to why. And so I've tried, increasing my FaceTime on my videos. I've tried many different things. I've tried clearing all the copyright claims out of my videos, because, like, for example, if I stream SpaceX is pretty good about not using copyrighted music, but Arianespace, oh my gosh, every time there's an Arianespace stream, they always have these cutscenes or these pre-recorded video segments that have copyrighted music in every single one of them. And if I broadcast that copyrighted music, then I get a copyright claim for that video. And I have a couple choices. I can either mute the music, which makes the viewers mad because they're like, hey, we want to hear what's going on. Or I can let it play and then hope that the stream doesn't go on for more than about 3 hours, so that I can then edit the music out of it later on. Or, like, for example, if there's a copyrighted song that plays during a spacewalk or something, a very long stream, then I'm just out of luck. Like, I either have to, either download or recapture a copy of the video if I haven't already recorded it, and re-upload it and delete the stream video from my channel in order to get rid of the copyright claim. Copyright is a major bear on YouTube. It's the content ID system of YouTube is very flawed, and it still, I suppose, it's better than being sued if you use somebody's copyrighted music, but still, it's abused. Like, it experiences rampant abuse and false flags, and you have situations like if a music composer uses a piece of Apollo 11 audio, One Small Step for a Man, in their song, like they sample some piece of historic audio and put it in their song, they then copyright the song. And then my Apollo videos, my original Apollo videos that are just verbatim, like, copies of vintage NASA, footage from 50 years ago, get copyright claims on them because this, stupid trap music or rap music or whatever, music producer or some sort of, it's always some sort of electronic or rap or something, music producer used this public domain historic audio in their song, and YouTube flags it. So anyway, I've got to deal with that every day. Anyway, I'm really rambling. The news is that I finally have become eligible for the memberships feature. And honestly, the thing I'm most excited about is that I get custom emojis. I get 4 of them. A whole 4 custom emojis. But yes, the memberships feature allows people to become a member and give some nominal contribution monthly and get some perks and stuff. But anyway, so I've been configuring that over the past few days. But before I go live with it, I need to whip up an announcement video, and I don't want it to be totally off the cuff. I want it to be a little smoother than that, and so it's taking some time. Plus, over the past couple of days, I was on the road many hours. At first, I had to drive to Winston-Salem to drop a kid off, and then next day I drove over to Raleigh, 5 hours round trip for a medical appointment. So I am hoping that in the next few days, in the next 3 or 4 days, I'll have all that stuff configured, set up, announced, released, and the memberships feature will be live. And hopefully it will stay that way. Hopefully they don't, I don't get some copyright claim on a video and then boop, suddenly you have no more membership feature. Whatever. YouTube is a cruel mistress sometimes, but it's what we've got, so we work with it. Kip's Corner, this was a few minutes ago, says that SOWCOM 1B will probably be scrubbed. There's over an 80% chance of rain between 6 and 7 p.m. Still nothing from SpaceX. And Elon's last tweet was from 6 hours ago regarding his physics professor from college. So, one moment, please. Okay, so I actually couldn't read that little text on the left side of the screen because it was covered up by a browser tab, and I only had a tiny little small version. But it says the road is open. SN6 150-meter hop is scheduled for the 31st, which is tomorrow, between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, or 1300 and 0100 UTC. And they say Starlink is scrubbed. They say, Starlink is scrubbed. That was from earlier today. But Starlink is rescheduled for Tuesday. But that's not SOWCOM 1B, that's Starlink. So, Freshwater Boy, I agree, but I do need to, we do need to keep the channel family friendly, so ease up on the colorful language, but yes, I definitely agree. Earl James Williams Alingasa. Yes, there is an earthquake in Boca Chica. Currently, Texas is shaking into the Gulf of Mexico. No, there's no earthquake. That's just atmospheric distortion being overcompensated for by some image stabilization software. One moment. Oh, okay. So yeah, it looks like SpaceX has fired up their mission control audio stream. But let's see, videos live now. Yeah, currently it's just their mission control audio. I guess they fire that up early. But their actual launch broadcast, which I will be streaming, doesn't start until about 15 minutes before the launch. Okay. A no-go day. ScrubX. All right. Jesse's saying SOWCOM will scrub. Fat Lady's not singing yet, so we shall see if SOWCOM scrubs. All right. Hobby Gamer says something about being ignored. Trying to read the comments, but there's a lot to pay attention to. If you reiterate your question, I can then see if I can address it. Anurag Ganesh asks if Starlink will be free for everyone. No, it is a commercial service, and you'll have to pay for it. However, they have stated that they intend to make it affordable, so it's not going to be, like a super expensive premium service that only, corporations can afford. Frank Domenico, no launch today. Well, Starship SN6 doesn't look like it will be launching today. So this hop will be happening presumably sometime tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. but shortly, unless it's scrubbed for weather, which nothing has been announced yet, in about half an hour, the launch broadcast for the SAOCOM 1A launch, 1B launch will begin. Eugene Erickson says they think SpaceX should put some carrots out next time, then it will hop. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Starship prototypes respond to carrots. Though the Raptor engine does have a lot of horses, so maybe it would. RG asks, at what altitude is a Falcon engine's thrust no longer noticeable on the surface? That's a cool question. I like that. I guess that would depend on the air pressure and the humidity and the wind. It would depend on a lot of different factors, which are always variable. But as a general guideline, I don't know. That's a cool question. You could probably calculate it if you were clever and had some formulas at your disposal, but Hobby Gamer asks, what is a Starship? Starship is the name of SpaceX's currently in development rocket. This is the prototype for Starship that we're looking at here, the SN6 prototype, and it will eventually have a nose cone. It may have little canard wings, and it will be the second stage of the overall. I don't even remember what they've changed the name. It used to be the BFR and the BFS and the ITS and the I don't even know what the name of the full system is. Maybe they'll just call the whole thing Starship. But anyway, Starship is the upper stage, and then the Super Heavy, which I'm not aware of any overt development on yet, will be the first stage. First, they're working on Starship. All right. Debbie, what did you ask? Okay, answer. Biggest fan. Glad to have you. Hi. You're just looking for a shout out, Debbie? 4276. Well, hello. All right. Oh, somebody mentioned a delay in the sound. I was just trying to check it out. Let's see. A YouTuber Gaming Studios asks, with the liquid methane as fuel they used to launch Starship, will it accelerate global warming? Well, it starts as liquid methane, but the magic of combustion is that it changes its constituent components. So the product of the methane and oxygen combusting is, I'd have to look it up to see, but I think the main exhaust product is water vapor. Because methane is just, what is methane? It's just like carbon and oxygen, and I think the main product of the reaction is water vapor. So it's not like they're spewing gobs of methane into the atmosphere. They're combusting the methane, and it's becoming a different molecule. But valid question, because, methane is a powerful greenhouse gas. And additionally, so that kind of prompts... Now, I am not a chemist, but what I mentioned earlier about the venting and burning off of the excess methane, what you just said prompted the thought of another reason for burning the methane instead of just releasing it into the atmosphere is that it is, in fact, a powerful greenhouse gas. And producing, large amounts of methane emissions into the atmosphere is not a good idea. In fact, there may be EPA rules or laws, governing that sort of thing. It may be a legal requirement that they burn off the methane, which converts it to an inert molecule or water vapor or whatever, rather than just vent it into the atmosphere. So I'll have to look that up because that's interesting. I have, alas, I have far more questions than I have answers, which is good because that means that I'm curious, I'm interested. So SCART, I am still streaming because people have a lot of questions. I came on to explain what was going on, what had happened with the abort, and folks just kept asking questions, so I kept talking. But I'm going to have to shut this down for good pretty soon here because the SAOCOM stream, I need to gear up for the SAOCOM stream. And there's still no word from SpaceX that has been scrubbed. So SAOCOM is still a go at this point. Debbie4276, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Mars, the planet itself, the red planet, the god of war, asks, why does SN6 look like SN5? Because it is very, very similar. There are only small changes between the two models, and I don't know specifically what those changes are, but it's incremental in nature. Divine MJR, I have noticed you. People are saying SpaceX is live. Let me check out. Yeah, the mission control audio is live. They start that early. I'm not currently listening to it, but if they are streaming mission control audio, then that means they plan to attempt a liftoff of the SAOCOM satellite. Michelle Gutierrez, there is no hop today. The hop has been postponed to tomorrow. There will be an attempted Falcon 9 launch of the SAOCOM 1B satellite in a little over an hour. Got to scan up the chat. Okay, Evil Nalu says CO2 plus H2O. So the product of the methane combustion is carbon dioxide, which is still a greenhouse gas, and water. But we're not talking, like industrial factory levels of CO2 here. I mean, it's one rocket. Eman M asks, do you think they will use Neuralink to control SpaceX rockets? Not that I'm aware of, but anything is possible, I suppose. Brandon Parker, thank you also for the chemistry lesson there. CH4. So you've got carbon and hydrogen mixed with O2. You get CH, so you get H2O and CO2. Yeah, Snow Kitten says they will get a big fine or even lose their license if they vent methane. So they have to combust it. So they can vent CO2, but they can't vent methane. Still trying to catch up with chat. Debbie4276. what happens is the chat keeps scrolling, and it's not going too bad. It's not too bad right now, but the chat keeps scrolling, and I'm responding to one question, and there are 10 more, or 20 more chat messages that I need to catch up on. So I never quite get down to the bottom. Let's see. Snow Kitten's explaining the mass simulator on the top. Yeah, it's just going to hop, 150 meters, hover, come back down. There are really no aerodynamics involved, and so the shape of the nose is not relevant. Now, if it were actually launching to 20 kilometers or whatever, then yeah, there would be more aerodynamic considerations. But Aqua TV asks, what is SAOCOM? SAOCOM is a satellite from Argentina. It's SAOCOM 1B. 1A was launched, I think, at the beginning of, or early last year, something like that. It's a, what is it, atmospheric monitoring satellite, I think. Surely the video description of that stream explains it. So, all right, I'm going to have to call it. So thank you all. I'm sorry if there are any pending questions. Just brief recap. There was an almost hop earlier, a couple hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. There was an almost hop. They fueled up the rocket, or they fueled up the SN6 prototype. They sounded the siren indicating that they were within 10 minutes of hopping, and then they aborted and they detanked the prototype. We don't know what the issue was, but it caused them to completely detank the rocket, and they ended up opening the roads again. So they're not going to attempt the hop tonight. Word is that it has been scheduled for tomorrow. They have a 12-hour window, road closure window, during which they are authorized to conduct the hop, and that extends from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And so look for that tomorrow. I may or may not have a stream. It depends. That it's a work day, so I may be tied up with stuff, but I will try. But you should definitely, even if I'm, whether I am or I'm not streaming it, the source for this footage is Lab Padre, who stream the Boca Chica facility 24 hours a day, and generously provided us with these views, the thermal view and then the lab cam view. So yes, and then very shortly, in about 20 minutes, another stream will start with the SAOCOM 1B launch. So I hope to see you all there. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully they don't get scrubbed for weather, because it's looking kind of ugly there in Florida. But again, thank you all for coming. Keep it raw, and I will. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there will be a SpaceWeek today because of these other things going on. But maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not sure. In any case, until then, I will catch you later, and do take care.